right, so today we have Peter talking about leveling up your digital transformation, and I'll turn it on over to you.
All right, thanks. Hey, everybody. So this is a super hard topic to fit into 16 minutes, so we're going to breeze through a whole lot of this. I'll try to leave some time at the end, but I can certainly stay later than the 16 minutes if people have questions. So digital transformation is like all the rage right now in the business world, right? Everywhere you look, you kind of see articles about it or tips for how to do it, all that sort of thing. And the idea, in short, is that in order to remain competitive in the marketplace, software delivery needs to change, right? And that change, I think, differs depending on the company, but could be one of a few different things, right? Moving from a traditional waterfall project delivery to perhaps agile project delivery. Some companies will go like install Scrum or whatever, start using more lean delivery practices. It could be migrating existing applications from on-premise infrastructure up to cloud infrastructure. It could be some of the famous move everything off the mainframe initiatives to kind of modernize IT architecture, or it could even be a whole company transformation to becoming a product-led organization. And there are really so many more flavors of what a digital transformation could be. But what I want to suggest today is that the actual transformation really transcends just software delivery. And certainly companies who undertake those transformations focus much of their effort on modernizing the processes, tools, and applications within IT. And I have no doubt that those are indeed transformational. But really, I think that's just the tip of the iceberg of what's possible if we were to pursue a broader scope of transformation. And really, in order to maximize the value of like a software delivery change, choosing to focus on these other areas will bring even greater results. So whether the flavor of your transformation is any of those above or something completely different, there are, I think, a few additional ways to level up those efforts. And those are really around your culture, finance, human resources, and management. And my goal here today in the next 14 minutes or so isn't really to give like specific steps. There'll be a few that I think are pretty cut and dry, but every organization is different. And I don't necessarily believe in silver bullets at all. But just, I hope that you would walk away today with some ideas for how you might pick at little areas within your organization to kind of level up your efforts. So that said, we can jump right into culture. And what is culture? Culture tells us who we are at work, how success is measured, and really where we want to go. And so that's what it is. What is it not, right? I think a lot of times the message gets a little confused, right? And we think about some of the things that aren't culture, which I like the word plumage. So you see companies advertising things like, oh, we've got foosball tables or ping pong, we've got a bar at the office. Like that's all well and good, but that's not your culture, right? Those are just toys, gadgets, and frills. And it's maybe cynical, but those are really just things you do to attract people to your company, but that's not your culture, right? Culture is how the organization as an organism lives and breathes and operates, right? It's who we are. So what are the changes to our culture that we can make? Well, I run into a lot of areas where we think we know a lot, and a lot of the things we do and decisions we make are based on what we think we know. And so if you look at your culture and that's what it is, I'd encourage you to think about what it would mean to be a learning culture. Learn how to be curious rather than leaning on what you think you know about your customers and their behavior. Ask them instead. Build a bridge with your customers, get involved. And you can do that in a bunch of different ways. You can analyze the data you have on customer habits. I think Brandon did one of these a while ago about utilizing the data you already have in-house to see how your customers behave. You can conduct focus groups. You can invest in product discovery tactics. There's a whole litany of ways that you can get that voice of the customer and really learn from them. But you should turn that same eye internally and analyze your internal processes. How do you do your work? Perform retrospectives on things and see what can be improved. Conduct small experiments and really take a learning approach to what you're doing. So what is it that employees really care about? Like back to the plumage, they don't really care about all that stuff, but they really care about why. Why is your company? They want to feel part of something bigger. We want to do meaningful work, right? So I think a lot of companies can answer, what is your company? What are our products? What are our services? But I find that sometimes answering that why is pretty difficult. And when you can answer that, that can make a monumental change to providing that vision for employees to really rally behind. Employees also want to be cared about by their leaders. They want to be recognized for who they are as people. They want you to challenge them. They want you to connect with them. So there's a couple of different sides to the employee experience, the culture that you should care about, we and me. So if we think about the we, this is the interactions that an employee would have with their team. So do we all have a shared values? I talked real quickly about why is your company, do we all understand the company mission? Do we believe we have teammates who have our backs? And do we have confidence in the company's future? So there's those aspects. And then there's me, the actual individual work experience. Do I understand my expectations? Do I have a chance to use my strengths at work? Does our culture recognize excellent work? And does our culture challenge employees to grow? So these are all just ways, again, that you can kind of examine your own culture and think about ways to move in sort of this direction if needed. Next would be human resources. So really kind of revitalizing hiring practices and candidate selection in a not quite as traditional way. So skills and experience are certainly really important, right? But it also as important is how a candidate's going to fit and their soft skills. So the culture that you've been working hard to cultivate, shared values and such, do people fit into that? And those aren't necessarily questions you get off resumes or screening calls or whatever. And then like we're all familiar, I assume, with the concept of like 10x engineers, and they're cool, they're great. There are some really super smart people out there who can build really amazing things. My experience has been that superheroes and lone wolves, though, don't make really great team players. And I think what we're looking for in a digital transformation effort is building really great teams that can do awesome things. And so if ever there was a book I would recommend to everybody to read, it would be The Ideal Team Player by Patrick Lencioni. And they talk about looking for people who are humble, people who are hungry, and people who are people smart. Great book I'd recommend. The other thing is technologies are emerging. There are new frameworks, new tools coming out so very frequently, right? And innovation of the cutting edge variety will kind of take advantage of much of that. So if you're out there scouring resumes for like 10 years of experience in something that's only existed for 5 months, you're not going to be very fruitful, right? Because there aren't going to be many candidates out there. So again, it's looking for those skills of being able to see something new, grasp how it works, and implement that in a solution. And I kind of clicked early there, but additionally, hiring is a team sport. I have had very successful hiring experiences when it's not just me, my manager, or another manager interviewing, but when we get the whole team involved, if they want to be. I mean, I wouldn't require it, but it's a team sport because ultimately you're bringing somebody into your culture, your family, and you want to make sure that they fit. The hiring manager and team really plays a much more active role in recruiting, finding top talent. And finally, you need to be able to move quickly. There are too few people right now looking at too many job options. So you need to be able to respond if you do have a candidate you like, and because if you're going to take a week or two to get approvals for an offer, that might not be enough time. Next up is finance, and I could probably talk for an hour on this, but I see we're down to like 5 minutes here. So going quickly, this is a fundamental change to how IT is treated, in my opinion. Top line, you need to view IT as a success enabler and not a cost center. We talk about IT or software becoming your competitive advantage, right? And of course, if you qualify for tax credits or you are concerned about things like CapEx, still valid. There are ways to track that through work tracking systems and such. But there's a fundamental shift in how we look at IT. And so the one thing that I would love everybody to do is stop IT chargebacks, right? Because this builds this attitude of the business in IT, and the business is a customer of IT. And so we got to make sure that we charge back that sort of thing. But I will die on the hill that the business, in quotes, is not a customer. Okay. They're stakeholders, certainly, and they're extremely important stakeholders. But a truly product-centric company is obsessed with building products that delight customers, yet also work for the business, right? The customer is the primary focus. And eliminate that from your vocabulary altogether. No more business and IT. There are some problems with this, right? One, prioritization. If you're doing IT chargebacks or the IT is a customer, right? Every department can make requests of IT. How do we prioritize that, right? It doesn't work well to have 8 number one priorities. It always ends up becoming a political battle, and the needs of the real customers normally suffer. Leads to optimization problems. If every department's doing work to optimize locally, very rarely will that lead to an optimization of the whole system. Additionally, that'll result in like a technical architecture that resembles the organizational structure, also known as Conway's Law. And so that's obviously difficult to manage and scale. And it's an asymmetrical relationship. Going back to the whole culture thing, right? In reality, everybody in the business and IT all works for the same company, right? We're peers. We have the same goals. And treating the business as a customer creates this relationship where neither party can do things like set prices, negotiate prices, walk away from a deal, or shop around, right? It's just not a customer relationship. The best thing for it to be is a collaborative relationship, right? When we take the domain expertise, market insights, company knowledge from our stakeholders in the business, that is all invaluable to identifying the opportunities that we might pursue with technology solutions. So really, it's a collaborative effort between product teams and the stakeholders in the different areas of the company. Finally, management. Really, one of the most impactful ways to level up your transformation is by redefining what it means to be a manager. And leadership and management are different things. And there are many, many, many things written about this, so I'm not going to belabor that point, but typically managers are focused on assigning tasks, enforcing deadlines, making sure people and things stay on track. And that's all important, but to take that to the next level, we need to really become leaders, right? And I think the foundational mindset here, kind of like there was one for finance, is that employees are people, not resources. And this is another hill I'll die on. And it may seem like nitpicking, but words really matter, right? If we think about resources, they're meant to be used, right? They need to be managed. They're static. They don't have feelings. They're there to be consumed to build something. People, on the other hand, have feelings. We have an identity. We interact with each other. We're dynamic. We find meaning in our work. We care about how we work. People use resources at their disposal to accomplish the goals of the organization, right? So I think it's important to make that distinction and really change our vocabulary, because the words we use inform the actions we take, right? So we need to be coaching, not managing, or not just managing, but we need to get to know our employees. What are their strengths, weaknesses, aspirations, and so on. And it's more than just like a checklist every year, but these are weekly check-ins that a manager or leader should be having with their direct reports. It means trusting them to do good work and intentionally coaching them through challenges. And really, the idea is that managers become background players, and it's really those frontline workers who are like the most important part here. You need to lead with strategic context and not just project assignment. So ideally, you have a strategic vision for your company and you're working towards meeting those goals. But as a leader, it's your job to share that context with the people who are building the solutions and that are going to carry your organization to achieving those goals, right? Because they're the ones who are going to create products that delight customers, that are hard to copy and that enhance your margins, right? And so we want to make sure we're giving them the problems to solve and not the solutions, right? Because they're the ones who are closest to the customers there. And that's basically having an outcome view instead of an output view. And so that means we need to be focused, disciplined, and have clarity about our strategy. It means pushing decisions as close as you can to the work and trust them to make the right decisions because you've been giving them the context in which to make those. About to go over here, but this is perfect. So last slide, just to wrap it all up. The moral of the story really is that a digital transformation effort is going to be effective even if you only focus on software delivery, right? You're going to get some kind of incremental improvement there. But by also embracing change in one or more of those other areas, you can really turn up that dial and get even greater results and build better collaboration within your company. And that is going to lead to even better, happier customers. Thank you.